Here's a little commercial diving little like thing talking about what it was like, what it's like out on some of these boats or something. I don't know. Well, I met some people out there that hate life, or hate so much, an incomprehensible amount of how much they hate to work with you, and how much they hate you while you're working or whatever. I don't know. Well, let me just explain. One thing about living on a boat is your only space on a boat is really your own rack, which is your bed. And so it's only, you know, as big as your body, a couple times bigger than your body. And when you work for these big companies, there's a lot of, they own a lot of different boats. So there's gonna be a lot of different boats you're gonna be working on. So for 1 week you might go work on a barge. Then the next 2 weeks you might go work on a small boat. Then you might go work on another boat. Well, traveling from boat to boat, people know each other on the boats, but not always. A lot of the times it's all new people on a boat, so everybody won't know each other. So one of the craziest things about it is you can't just leave, and you can't just go to the store. You can't go for a walk. You don't have your own private space. You're just there, and everybody else, when you go up the stairs and somebody's coming down the stairs, you have to take turns. You just constantly have to share space with other people, no matter if you're eating, what you're doing, sharing the toilet, sharing the showers. When the boat starts rocking and there's a couple of foot waves, so all the time the boat's always rocking. So you're in the shower and you're just hitting the walls and everything. So I got on a boat where there was a few times, it happened many times, where it was just, where really the impression I got was bad. The things were rusted, really bad, rusted. It looked like things were gonna fall apart. Life rafts above my head, just metal was all rusted through. And there's anchor, like just cables everywhere, all surrounding you, just surrounded by all these anchor cables, big drums of a cable that's like this big around. And you go into where your bedroom is, and it's outside on the boat, like in a little storage container with an air conditioner in the top, and just some really interesting things, like the bathroom, it might be kind of partially outside, or they all have ball valves on the toilets, or the sewage backs up and it just smells horrible throughout the boat. Well, I wondered the first time I got on one of those boats, called the 4-point anchor boat, I was like, should I try to leave this immediately, or should I stay here, and should I just tough it out, you know, like see what happens, maybe this is normal. Well, it was some of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life happen there. And the procedures and ways that you do things, and what you trust and what you don't trust. I mean, you learn a lot of things. I learned a lot of things. I don't know if I'll ever use any of it, but it's crazy. So one of the first times I got on one of these boats, I go to oh man, it's hot in here. Well, one of the first times I get on one of these boats, I get on the boat, and everybody looks so depressed as getting off the boat. They just look so sad, like they're just like, I was like, wow, these guys just look just like beat up, like just so sick of, I don't know, like depressed, like sad, like, I mean, like I don't even know why what could have happened. So I get on the boat, and this guy stands in our room, and he pulls his pant leg up and he goes, see this? This is what happened to me. We all got it. and he's got all these little bumps all over his leg, like his skin is eating itself away, just all over his legs. So anyway, I'm supposed to work the next day, because you work, it's 12 on, 12 off. So you're on this boat. Some of the people in your room, they wake up and they go to work at 12 o'clock from the afternoon to night. Then the other time you wake up from 12 o'clock at night till 12 o'clock in the afternoon and you work. So you switch off, you're a night shift or day shift. Well, I had to go to sleep. So this guy has all these bumps on his legs. I look in the laundry and all their blankets are just filled up right next to the toilet. There's just a huge load of blankets and stuff all piled up next to the toilet. And the laundry room is just excruciatingly hot. Just like cooking hot. And then the back deck of the boat is just full of mud and all this just crap. Just wires tangled up, things from the bottom of the ocean that I had to take up with a crane, just full. So anyway, I go to bed. It's the first time on one of these boats, and besides working on a barge for a little bit, I go to bed. They wake me up at about 3 o'clock in the morning after I started sleeping, and they tell me that I gotta leave the room. And it's like OSHA, people that have OSHA shirts on, or BP oil spill or something, and they're in there and they're disinfecting the room that I had been sleeping in because I had to work the next day. And that was just the start. Like, so I had been put on this boat to work after sick people were on there, and they just sent me right out on there because those guys were sick. Who cares what happens to me? I'm just time for me to work. I'm going to work. Well, they ended up sending us home, but the thing was they were gonna have us go out to work. I was really concerned about it. There are so many different health concerns out there that are things that like natural occurring radioactive material, to how loud things are, to commercial diving down and having, you know, nitrogen in your body and getting bent and all that. So I worked on that boat for I ended up working on it for about 2.5, 3 months, and it was a lot of work. It was when you're doing commercial diving, a lot of the times what you're gonna do, I mean, it's really hard to explain, but you're gonna go out in the ocean. You're gonna work until the seas are bad enough to where they're screwing up the anchors. Like the anchors, you drop an anchor on the bottom of the ocean floor and it digs down into the mud. And if that starts to slip and come undone, then the seas are probably too rough. Or if you snap a soft line or something that's hooked to a platform, like if you're tying up to an oil platform, or if the dive ladder moves around too much and the divers can't get out of the water if you're doing surface diving compared to sat diving. So there's some different reasons why you're gonna not be working in rough weather, but a lot of the times you're gonna be working. And when you look around, you come outside of the boat, and all night you might put something. Some people have tied themselves down or put some life jackets down underneath their mattress, something to keep them, because you're rolling back and forth all night like this, and you're just rolling because of the waves. And if you're lucky, you'll have a bed that's going into the waves, so like you're going up and down like this, you know, instead of rolling back and forth. So yeah, you get up, you wake up, you go eat. They wake you up. Most of the time, people will wake you up. So you have like an hour to eat. Whoa, what am I gonna do here? So you have like an hour to eat, and then after that hour, you well, I mean, you can get up anytime you want and lift weights. There's weights on most of the boats that I was on. I've probably been on like 8 different boats, something like that, maybe more boats and barges. So then you go to a safety meeting and you fill out some JSAs, what are those, job safety analysis or something. So you go through all like the procedures you're gonna do through the day, and you talk to the supervisor some of the times, and everybody's with you. And then after you're done with that, you just go to work, and you go out on the back deck, and you have gloves on, and you have a hard hat on, and you have like boots that don't have laces on them and are steel-toed, and hopefully on some of these boats the waves are crashing over the side all the time, so you're walking through water. So you go out there, and pretty much what your job is you gotta do things as fast as you can to get, because every diver that goes down only has a certain amount of time while they're down there. Like if you're at 60 feet, or if you're like at 120 feet, you might only have like 45 minutes or something. Like I know I've done this for a couple years out in the Gulf of Mexico, and I'm not even sure totally what all this stuff is going on. Like I learned a lot, but there's a lot of different things. And so say an hour, yeah, 45 minutes. Well, the diver, when he's down there, he might have to do a lot of different jobs, like sandblasting, where it's kind of like sandblasting but grit blasting. Using a jet hose. He might be searching down there for something, where they take a bite of their downline and look around. And meanwhile, there's so many different jobs they could be doing. Barnacle busting, they could be rigging, or moving around pipes. So cutting pipes. So the thing is since there's so many different jobs they're doing, what your job is on the back deck is to make sure all the machines, like the jet pump, like all the hydraulics, like everything is working right. Everything. Make sure all the dive hose is working right. Make sure that all the oxygen is online. Make sure the hyperbaric chamber is online. Make sure that there's oxygen going to it. Make sure there's no leaks in anything. Snoop check it. Leak check everything. Spray it with bottles. Make sure there's no water. This isn't stuff that I don't think you need to go to school for. It's stuff you need to be around, and you gotta be. One of the best ways to do it, I think, is to be an AB on a boat. Just get out in the Gulf of Mexico, or out in the ocean, and check out and see if you like the kind of atmosphere you're in. Because it's sometimes, besides the rocking like this, sometimes the platforms have this beeping thing on there. So all night and day you hear beep, beep, beep. And besides that, there's a lot of things that could go wrong. Like, I mean, from the water, I mean, from I never always wondered how people get you know, scurvy from being on a boat. I'd be like, oh, you get scurvy like from crossing the oceans and there's no fruit for a long time. I understand it, I get it, you know, I could see how that could happen. But being on these boats, sometimes we'd run out of fruit and there wouldn't be a single grape around, or for like a week and a half, maybe, something like that. But still, it's a long time. I mean, there might be like orange juice there, but sometimes you'd run out of everything. You wouldn't even have cups. You'd have to get a ketchup container and you're holding it in your hand and this is your cup, you know, for like a week. That happened a few times. It was just the most weirdest things. Most things you'd never imagine, because the boat is like a self-sustained environment. Like, everybody that's on it understands how some part of it works and can fix it. If something breaks, you have to fix it. If something breaks, you can either cut the hoses, splice them together at certain pressures, or else use certain JIC fittings and screw them together, or you can strip wires and hook negative and positive together. If something breaks with the drums, maybe you can weld it together. Everything is pretty much you could fix, you know. You have like electrician people on there, you have like oilers, or like people that are working on engines of boats. There's just everything that you can imagine that is on one of these boats. I mean, you know, somebody kind of knows something about it, and what you don't, you kind of make up, I think. So there's a way to always make something work.